Take my hat off so I'm not shaded. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Real Deal with Dan Smith. That's not him. That is me, Dan Smith. But we have Lucas Smith right here. No relation.
No relation.
Just has the coolest freaking last name out there that we share together. If you guys ever have any referrals for the Brea... Oh, it's backwards because we're on Facebook, but that's how it works. The Smith team out in Brea, Southern California. Hit them up. Hello, Gio. Hello, Norvell. How you doing? Hello, Melissa. So he happened to be in here today. We were doing a strategy session that was ending at noon. So I said, hey, why don't you stick around and go on the show with me? People are tired of looking of my ugly mug anyway. And so go on the show with me. It's a cool topic. Hello, Smith. Hello, Ron. It's a cool topic that we're going to be doing today. Today's topic is losing the fear. Hey, Gio, losing the fear. Now, losing the fear of what? Right? Losing the fear of what's holding you back from having success. Losing the fear of what's freezing you from going out there and accomplishing everything you absolutely want to accomplish. Oh, look at Matt's talking crap right now. He said, hello, handsome, and you too, Dan. So Lucas got dressed up for today. I'm wearing an alpaca sweater from Peru today. So
you got dressed. Yeah, we should all feel fortunate for that.
I had a hat on. Put my hat. How's that? Put my hat back on. All right. This is authentic looking Dan right here. All right. I don't even like that. I'm gonna take that off. So it looks weird. So anyway, so Lucas has been working with me for how long have we been working together? It's like 7 years.
Six or 7 years.
6 or 7 years.
Long time.
So Casey likes to look with the hat though. Casey's one of the JKers.
Okay.
Right? Casey's down in Kayla's JK office. Lucas got to meet some of that crew.
Big fan of JK. You guys rock.
So hey, lose no pants. Yep. Hey, stand up. He's got pants on.
Pants.
I do not. Right? That's how I roll. You guys know that. If I'm wearing pants, it's because somebody who hasn't currently paid me is paying me for the day. He already pays me every month, so I didn't have to dress up to impress him. All right. Oh no, Casey just said I was. That's past tense. So all right, we'll talk about that, my friend. Okay, so losing the fear. The fear that's holding you back. You know, there's that old saying, fear of failure. Everything you ever wanted lies outside of your comfort zone, and you're kind of afraid to step outside of your comfort zone. We've been working together for like 6-ish years now, back in 2011, 2012, something like that. And so Lucas has been really good about not letting fear stand in his way, although he tends to be somewhat stubborn and maybe not do what I ask him to do sometimes. It's not because he's afraid of it. It's just because he's locked into his pattern sometimes. But he is very unfearful. When I say to go do something that he doesn't know how to do, he just does it. He doesn't let the fear hold him back. I know a few people, and I see some names that have come up on this today. Marisa. I know a few people who sometimes can maybe let fear of the unknown get in their way just a little bit. And we talked about this a couple days ago on another Facebook Live that I did real quick for some of my guys and gals, and we're going to talk about lead gen. And so I thought, hey, let's do a whole Facebook Live on it. So, Lucas, let me ask you.
Yep.
What are you uncomfortable doing, kind of don't like doing or afraid of doing, but you do anyway? Give us a couple of examples.
Well,
and hold on real quick. If anybody has questions while we're talking, just type. Don't wait for us because the lag and the delay from Facebook Live. Just start typing if you have questions and we'll jump in and get them answered. Okay, answer that question.
Perfect. And that's a great question. I'm glad you asked it. The first thing that comes to mind is door knocking. As you know, in my career in real estate, I've been a really great cold caller. I've done a lot of phone calling, and door knocking was a big barrier for me. I didn't like doing it. I was uncomfortable doing it. It's slower than cold calling.
Let's talk about the uncomfortable real quick. What were you uncomfortable about?
Not that I'm uncomfortable with face-to-face presentation, but maybe the fear of the face-to-face rejection was a little more uncomfortable for me.
Have you ever done this? Because I've done this before. Maybe some of you have done this as well. And Marisa, I don't know if you are... Hey, Matt, I sent you a text, by the way, so make sure you check your text, Matt Maloney, and get back to me. I sent... The other Matt is already on, and we've already texted back and forth. Marisa, it looks like you're raising your hand, so if you have a question, just type it in. Have you ever done this? Because I've done this. Have you ever been out door knocking? Right? And you went to the door, and you could hear people in the house. Right? Like you could, like maybe it's a screen. I actually can remember this one time. There's a screen door.
And it's open. The door's open.
I could see the person sitting in the dining room the way the house floor plan was, right? And if I would have rung the doorbell, right, they would have 1,000% heard me ring the doorbell.
Yep.
Right? But I'm looking back there and I can see that they're reading the newspaper facing the other direction. And so instead, what I did was I went up to the door and I went like real softly on the door. All I had to do was say hello, right? Or ring the doorbell, and they would have turned and seen me. But I was out door knocking, and I don't know, for whatever reason, I was afraid that day at that particular door. I don't know what it was. And so I gave one of these that nobody in their right mind could, like whatever. I don't know what superhero has crazy hearing powers, but he wouldn't have even been able to hear it.
Right.
And you know what? You know what happened? They didn't come to the door. Haha, this session is just for me.
Wait, and then you got to do this. Then you take your business card and you sneak it into
real,
the door really quiet.
You're like,
so you don't rattle the door.
I don't want it to make any noise.
Correct.
And
that's that part.
And then you leave, and you're like, and you put a little hash mark, door's knocked, and you put one more. Right?
Yep.
That's the biggest fucking waste of time in like the history of wasting time, right?
Yep.
I mean, you needed to, come on, the dude was there. Is actually a gal, but I could see her reading the newspaper in her like bathrobe and then 4 o'clock or 12 o'clock in the afternoon or something, right? All I had to do was ring the doorbell or say hello, and I could have talked, but I was afraid to do it. Why? Why do we get like that? Why do we sometimes get afraid? Why do we sometimes like have that stupidity get in the way?
Is the question the why of the fear, or is the question what do we do about it, Dan? Which is the greater
Both.
question?
Why do we have the fear, and what do we do about it?
Okay.
So why do we have the fear? I'd like to hear, actually, let me ask that question. Well, we're going to answer the second question. What do you do about it? While we're answering that question, I would like everybody who is watching to do 2 things. First, I didn't tell you to share. Please go hit that share button. Very important, like me. Share, please. And I would also like for you guys to type, why do you have that fear? Tell me why you have that fear. Share that and share the broadcast itself. Second question, what do we do about it?
Great question. Again, I'm glad you asked it. So I have a couple of things because I've committed to doing 250 doors a week. I'm doing 10,000 doors this year.
That's 50 doors a day, all those days,
10,000
10,000
week,
doors.
40 weeks a year, 10,000 doors.
10,000 doors that you will knock on.
That I will knock on.
Okay.
Correct.
Some of them will be repeats because you have to go back more than once.
Correct. Some are lead follow-up. Some are things like that that'll be repeats where I have to, but I'm going to do 10,000 knocks this year.
Okay.
So a couple of the things I do, one of them is I put a dollar amount on the house.
What do you mean by that?
So if I'm knocking, let's say, a house that's worth $700,000, just for nice round numbers, and I'm getting, I always put 3% for me because I like 3%.
Okay.
So that's $21,000. So this door is worth $21,000 to me.
Keep talking. I'm just reading.
Who's
so I don't
not
forget
going to
them.
knock on a single door for $21,000? Anybody who's not going to knock on a single door for $21,000, put your phone down and go back to bed.
I'm going to say this out loud. I think it's what Lucas said. Face-to-face rejection hurts your ego a lot more and is more embarrassing than just the phone or the
Correct.
message.
Of course.
But
so
for $21,000,
$21,000,
you don't really mind a little bit
you
of
can
embarrassment.
yell at me and call me names and tell me I'm losing my hair. I'm okay with that. Another thing that I do, as well as in addition to, is, and I learned this trick from my wife, is as I'm walking up to the door, I will picture where my sign goes.
That's interesting.
So as I'm walking up to the door, I think my sign would look really good right here. It's going to say the Smith team and, you know.
Little Smith team logo going on there.
Smith team logo, exactly. My sign is going to look good here. This is my listing.
Okay.
And then I go knock on the door.
Interesting.
And a conjunction.
I like that one.
Those 2 little mental tricks sometimes when I'm feeling that tug, that hesitancy, that moment of should I stay or should I go now, will push me over the edge and compel me to go to the doors.
Okay, interesting. So you mentioned the 21,000. I like the visualization of the sign too. I think that's cool. But you mentioned that $21,000 is cooler than putting a sign up.
For me,
yeah.
I like $21,000.
So $21,000 is what you're attached to, right? Positive visualization. You know you're getting old when you got to like lean forward to read the comments on the phone, right?
Right, or you need to go see your optometrist.
Apparently I should have gotten the plus, so it would have been a bigger screen and bigger letters maybe, I don't know.
Right.
I've already seen the optometrist apparently. All right, so $21,000. yeah, you can laugh at me, you can tell me I dress funny, you can tell me I'm losing my hair, you can tell me to go pound sand.
Yeah.
For $21,000. You know, if you want to take a swing at me, if you're going to pay $21,000, I can take a hit, right?
God bless America.
So that's the mentality that you have. But every door doesn't pay you $21,000. You don't sound like you get $21,000, $42,000, $63,000,
You don't.
$84,000. It doesn't work like that, right?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But the potential is there for that $21,000 on every door. And the only door you're not going to get $21,000 from is the door you don't knock.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one.
Right?
Like the old Michael Jordan, right?
Right.
The only shot you're guaranteed to miss is the one
The
you don't
take. Correct.
Right? Okay.
Correct. And there's been more than once where, and I like Jeb Blunt, fanatical prospecting, just one more. And there's been more than once when I'm out knocking and I'll do my 10 doors around my preview, or I'll do my 10 doors around my lead follow-up knock, and there's another couple of doors on that street. And, not all the time, but sometimes that door is the lead.
Right.
That door is the people who says, yes, when my kid graduates from high school, we're moving to Texas.
And they're a senior.
Yeah, right. And they're a senior, they're graduating in 6 months.
So, okay. There's a funny story. I've shared this story with you. Probably haven't shared it with this whole audience ever, right? But there's one time that Mel was out knocking.
Uh-huh. Oh, I know this story.
And she was parked in, she'd been having a bad week, month, quarter, year, whatever.
Is Mel watching? Are you going to get in trouble?
Yeah, I wonder if Mel's on. Hey, Jeanette, I sent you a text. I just saw that you popped on. I sent you a text earlier because the 11 o'clock was totally my bad. So make sure you check that text and respond, not now because I got the broadcast going, but later let's talk. So Mel is sitting in front of the store, and she hates door knocking like most people do. And she just had a bad day, and she wanted to go home. But she also knew that she needed to do it. So she was doing neither. She had pulled up in front of the house and was just sitting there. And she wasn't going and knocking, and she wasn't going home. She was sitting in front of the house, and she was actually in tears. And she called me up. She says, I just don't want to do this.
So
I'm
she
struggling.
called you for sympathy.
She called me She called me actually for a kick in the butt, because she knew that I would say,
Okay.
Go do it. And I kind of did both in a backhanded sort of way. And I was like, hey, if you don't want to make any more money, then just come on home.
Right.
If you feel like giving up and not succeeding today, then just come on home. Right? So that makes it a little bit tough, doesn't it?
Right.
And so she's like, no, I'm going to knock it. So she cleans herself up. And she goes and knocks on the door. And this is one of those great success stories. Right? She goes and knocks on the door. And whoever does it the most gets the luckiest.
Right.
So she got really lucky. Because even though she hates door knocking, she does what she's supposed to do on a pretty regular basis. And the guy, kid you not, is holding a phone book, right? The guy is holding a phone book, and the phone book is open to real estate.
Uh-huh.
And she says, hi, my name is Melody, and and he goes, well, what do you hear? What do you want? And she says, well, I'm a real estate. And she doesn't even do a good script. She's just trying to get past the final knock. She's like, my name is Melody. And he's like, what do you want? She's like, I just want to know if you want to sell your house, really poorly. And he's like, well, yeah, that's exactly. I'm in the phone book right now, looking for a real estate agent. I don't know how you knew. Come on in, right? And at some point he says, well, yeah, let's sell it. And being my wife and all, she does a lot of what I tell her to do, not all. Just like I tell you guys, keep a blank contract in your car at all times. You never know what's going to happen.
Now, this was before you could do it electronically on your pad. You had to physically write
But some
it.
people, and this guy's a little bit older, that one might have messed with them, so he likes paper, right? So she goes out to the car, she brings the contract in, and she walks away with that listing, where she was crying an hour earlier in front of the house that she just didn't want to do it. Right, that's the kind of success story that comes along once or twice in a career.
By the way, she didn't even put her heels back on.
Exactly, right? That's right. I think, yeah. So, and then funny story, then she ended up double ending it the next day.
Right.
Right? So that was a pretty good paycheck, rather than sitting in the car and crying about it or quitting and going home.
Right.
Just one more.
Just one more.
Just hit that door, right?
Right.
Okay. So let me see. Other people have joined. There were no other questions. Melissa had talked about the fear of that. It kind of gets in the way, being embarrassed. It's easier to be embarrassed on the phone than it is to be embarrassed face to face. Our egos do worse with having that body. What is one piece of advice that you can give our viewers before we wrap this up then today? Because we've gone a little bit longer than we normally do, but it's because there's two of us talking, not just one.
Correct.
One piece of advice that you would give on top of visualize your sign, on top of imagine the money and what's going to come from it, to just help people get outside of their box, their comfort zone, and forget the fear and just risk it and go for it.
create massive accountability.
Ah, that's a good one.
Create massive accountability. For me, I put money on the line, and I put it on the line with people who care enough about me to take my freaking money when I don't do it.
To not let you slide.
They don't let me slide. They don't let me cry. I could call them crying in the car and telling them I don't want to do this door, and they would say, "That's great, Lucas. Have my $100 when you get here."
Okay. So massive accountability, everybody. That's another one to do. Hey, real quick, how do you prep each day of knocking and just do it? It gets easier and it works, says Laurie. Laurie will do 60 some odd transactions this year, so it's probably pretty safe to listen to her.
She
just
does
do
a little bit.
It probably works. Marisa, who's sort of on the newer end of this spectrum, not like Laurie, who's been doing it for a long time. How do you prep for each day of knocking?
Oh, that's great. This is really easy. So I have business cards that have a blank back.
So this one doesn't have a blank back.
This one does not. This is one of my pass-out cards for people.
Front of the card, back of the card. So it has a separate set of cards. It has this, but the back is blank.
I have some that have a blank back on them.
Okay.
I count out the number of doors that I'm doing that day. So if I'm doing 50, I count out 50. If I'm doing 100, I count out 100. I put those in my pocket along with 2 ink pens. 2 ink pens.
In case one runs out of ink.
In case one runs out of ink.
All right.
That's correct. I plan where I'm going to knock. If I'm going to knock a condo complex, I pick out which condo complex. If I'm going to do previews, I pick out my 5 previews and my 5 lead knocks. Whatever I'm going to do, I plan my route for where I'm going to go.
So whether it's a cold knock, a preview knock, a lead knock, no matter what kind of knock, you got cards and a pen.
I know, yeah. 2 pens.
Cards 2 pens.
And I know where I'm going.
Okay.
I don't just randomly
and you know exactly where you're going. It might be random, but not random for that day. You have a goal for that day.
I have a goal for that day.
Okay.
I do a lot of condo complexes looking for move-up buyers. I do a lot of previews in my area, and I knock around the previews. I know where I'm going.
Okay.
And then I get in my car and I leave.
And the cards are for what?
So, this is my secret. We're telling the world. The cards are for leaving at the door. On the back of each card, when I knock on the door, I have a little clipboard and I write on the back of the card, everybody get your pen out, "Sorry we missed you. Please call us if you're open to accepting an offer from us on your home." And that takes me about 30 seconds, which is what it takes the average person to get up out of their chair, pause the TV, and answer the door.
And if they answer the door, you keep the card for the next house.
I keep the card and I give them a blank one when I'm talking to them, and I go count to 30 at the next door. It's 30 seconds a door.
Gotcha. And so if they come, you give them a different card, and if they don't come, you've already got the card filled out for the next door when they don't come.
Correct. People say, "Why don't you fill your cards out ahead of time?" I say, "Because I'm going to be at the door spending that time anyway." So.
All right. So no prep. The answer to that is no prep. Just so you know, the answer to that is a very little prep. The prep is in planning where you're going to go.
Well, yeah.
And in grabbing a stack of cards. Yes, I guess you could be like analytical and count them. You could also just grab a big ass stack, throw in a couple pens in your pocket. But the counting is cool because I guess it's a real number. Because then you can actually, it's not like, I wonder how many you have left. Because you see the cards dwindle. When you have none left, you know you're done. Rather than just like, I don't want to knock all these. I think I've done enough today.
Correct.
Okay, that makes sense.
It gives me a solid number, and it keeps me on track for my accountability. If you're going to do 250 doors, you have to know where you, just like a trip, you have to know where you started, where you're going, and how you're going to get there.
That's cool. I like that. So that way it's not like you're just like swimming and swimming and swimming. You never know when you're going to get to the shoreline. You actually like, you see the pile getting, like, oh, I only got 3 cards left. I got this.
Correct.
Right? Cool. Thank you very much for being here today. I hope you guys and gals enjoyed the show. Next week we're going to be back on. I wonder what we're doing next week. Hold on. Stay there. What did she just say? What did she
Marissa said, "Okay, tomorrow I promise to do 25 doors." Oh, Marissa, I'll hold you accountable. You want to give me $100 if you don't do it? Here's my number.
Give your number to everybody. That's a good call.
My number is 714-356-7142.
I had to look and see what next week's topic was.
Anybody wants to do an accountability with me on doors, you're welcome to do it. I care enough to collect your money if you don't do your doors.
There we go. I care enough to have Lucas wash my car sometimes when he doesn't do what he's supposed to do and he gets to wash my car.
Hey, I'm not having coffee this week. Just a little heads up. I did my doors.
But you're not.
But I didn't do the other stuff.
So he had put coffee on the line for that one. So next week's topic is going to be what the heck is going on with commissions? What is, because we talked about this a little bit, I think yesterday, right? On a conference call. What is going on with commissions? Why are commissions getting so low? Why is everybody in the world asking for a discount? What happened to 6%? and we're going to talk about what's going on, ways to maybe still get it, but understanding why it's happening and how to maybe combat it. And so that's going to be next week's topic. So if you're interested, make sure you're here. Make sure you share it. If it's something you want to do, you think some other coworkers might want to know about, make sure you share that. Please go down and share this one as well. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here, guys and gals. We appreciate it. Thank you, Lucas, for being a guest host. Next week, same time, same place. See you then.